Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. After praising Allah Baarak wa ta'ala and sending salutation upon our messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, we proceed. Alhamdulillah that Allah Baarak wa ta'ala has gathered us here once again, and I'm glad to be here in Mr. Furqan after many months. It's been a while since I've come here, and every time I do come here, it brings a lot of joy to my heart. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, seeing all your wonderful faces and seeing all the congregation who are here for Salat al-Fajr, seeking the pleasure of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala and wanting to hear the speech of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala and to learn the speech of Allah Azza wa Jalla. We ask Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, just like He united us here, that He unites us in Jannat al-Firdaus al-A'la without any previous punishment or difficult account. Ayyuha al-ikhwa, first of all, I came because I wanted to hear Shaykh Muhammad Ali today. So I sat at the back, so I'm hoping that he wouldn't know that I'm here. But Shaykh Muhammad Ali, he has cameras, I think, everywhere that allow him to see who's here and who's not here. Allah al-Musta'an. But ayyuha al-ikhwa, the ayat that are recited, well, akhawat, the ayat that are recited in the Salah, there's maybe one ayah or two ayahs that I want to just mention a bit about, and then inshallah ta'ala we'll conclude. In the first rak'ah, we recited ayat from Surah Ibrahim, where Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala talks about Ibrahim alayhi salam and some of the du'as that Ibrahim alayhi salam he made. And amongst the du'as that Ibrahim alayhi salam he made, that Allah narrates to us, it is that he said, رَبِّ جَعَلْنِي مُقِيمَ الصَّلَاةِ وَمِن ذُرِّيَّتِي رَبَّنَا وَتَقَبَّلْ دُعَاء ربنا اغفر لي ولوالدي وللمؤمنين يوم يقوم الحساب. He said, my Lord, Ibrahim alayhi salam, who's a messenger of Allah, who's a prophet of Allah, who's amongst the most beloved to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, he says, my Lord, make me from those who establish the prayer, who observe the prayer, who perfect their prayers, and my offspring. Ibrahim alayhi salam is making that dua. That was the custom of the prophets and the messengers and the righteous. So they constantly ask Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala to help them perfect their salah. When I was waiting for Salat al-Fajr, I saw on the screen a hadith, which inspired me to read these ayat and to talk about this. The hadith, it said that the Prophet alayhi salatu salam, he said, بين الرجل وبين الشرك أو الكفر ترك الصلاة. Between a man and disbelief or polytheism, it is the abandonment of the prayer. The Prophet ﷺ, he told us that the matter of the salah, it's a huge deal. Imagine that you're going to stand in front of a king in this world. And this king, you're going to meet him, and you're told prior to the meeting that you are going to be asked one question by that king. If you get the answer right to that question, you'll be rewarded. But if you get the answer wrong, you'll be punished and doomed and imprisoned and tortured if you get that one question wrong. How are you going to be prior to that meeting? You're going to be stressed about that question. You're going to take that question very seriously. You're constantly going to be thinking about it, right? The Prophet ﷺ told us every single one of us is going to stand in front of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. And he's going to be asked one question. If he gets the answer to that question right, everything after will be fine. The Prophet ﷺ told us what the question is. He said, أَوَّلُ مَا يُحَاسَبُ بِهِ الْعَبْدُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ الصَّلَاةِ. The first matter the slave is going to be questioned about in the Day of Judgment is the salah. If it's sound, everything after that will be sound and fine. If it's not, then everything after that, he will be doomed. And he will be in punishment by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala due to the salah. It's the most important thing. The ulama, they take from the hadith that the key to your righteous deeds being accepted by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is the salah. If it's not intact, your other righteous deeds do not matter. But that's not exactly what I wanted to mention, because you people are people of salah. You are people who come to the house of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. You are those who are constantly frequenting the house of Allah Azza wa Jal. But ayyuha al-ikhwa, you know this salah that we pray, it is not just a prayer that we have to do. Rather, it has something in it that is extra, that is special. If we manage to unlock that, we will taste that sweetness of the salah. Ibn al-Qayyim alayhi rahmatullah, he says the salah, it has ladha, it has sweetness, it has enjoyment. The one who unlocks that sweetness and enjoyment of the prayer, he enters a paradise before the actual paradise in the hereafter. That experience of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, وَجُعِلَتْ قُرَّةُ عَيْنِي فِي الصَّلَاةِ. The coolness of my eyes have been placed in the salah. And he will say, أَرِحْنَا بِهَا يَا بِلَال. Call the iqamah so that we can pray pray and enjoy the salah and find contentment and happiness and solace and comfort in that prayer. What is the experience they found? Thabit al-Bunani alayhi rahmatullah, he said, I saw Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu anhu praying by the Kaaba, and it's as if he was a tree. Still, the birds will be on his head, they're going to be moving. He would be in each position for a long period of time. Why is it that they spend so much time in the salah? Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah tabarak wa ta'ala said that after Salat al-Maghrib, he prayed the Sunnah after Maghrib, and he went to sujood, and he never raised his head from sujood until the adhan of Isha was called. How was he able to spend so much time in that sujood? They found something in their prayer, that sweetness, that if we unlock it, will be the exact same. They were not superheroes, or they didn't have superpowers that allowed them to do this. They were just like me and you, but they made the effort to unlock this sweetness. And then the most enjoyable thing on this earth for them was the salah. So how can we experience that? Ayyuha al-ikhwa, I'll tell you a thing. Our uncle, the mu'adhin, may Allah Azza wa Jalla bless him and honor him, he has one of the most honorable roles in this world. One of the greatest roles that one can ever engage in. When our uncle Haji Umar is calling the adhan, right? The adhan is better than any lecture, any reminder anyone can give you. It is the greatest message. Have you ever thought about the adhan when you were hearing the adhan? Reflect on the words of the adhan. Forget about even reflecting on the adhan. Do you know that the Prophet ﷺ, he tells us that before we actually start the salah, we start takbirat al-ihram, you're in a state of salah. It starts off prior to even the adhan. The Prophet ﷺ said, when one of you is going to the salah, do not put your fingers together like this. Why? Because he's in salah. This is disliked to do in the salah. It's as if you're in the prayer. He said, when one of you is waiting for the prayer, he's sitting, he's waiting for the prayer, it is as if he's in salah. Prior to the prayer itself, it is as if you're in the salah itself, preparing you spiritually for that prayer. But the adhan, ayyuha al-ikhwa, the adhan is extremely great, it's significant. The adhan, the Prophet ﷺ tells us when it's called, who's your biggest enemy in salah? Shaitan. When the adhan is called, the Prophet ﷺ tells us that shaitan, he becomes enraged and he runs and he flees, humiliated from the place that the adhan is called in. It's your first protection from your enemy who's going to try to ruin your prayer. But not only that, you know, we struggle a lot of the time to focus on our prayers. And the Prophet ﷺ, he told us that an individual will pray the salah and he will only get a 10th of it, 9th of it, 8th of it, 7th of it. Or some people get nothing, no reward from the salah based on how much of the salah they were present, they were focusing. We tend to struggle with that khushu' and focusing and concentrating in the salah. There's a secret to attaining the full reward. The Prophet ﷺ, he said in hadith, listen to this hadith, he said that the mu'adhin, when he calls the adhan, everything and everyone who hears his voice will seek forgiveness for him. That's number one. That's the first virtue. Is that it? No. And the Prophet ﷺ, he told us on top of that, that everyone who comes to pray with him, he gets their reward. If 100 people come and pray that salah that he called the adhan to, he gets the reward of 100 people's salah. 1,000 people come, he gets 1,000 people. 2,000, he gets their reward. This is the way to get the full reward. But the one may say, but we don't call the adhan. How can I get that virtue? Only Hajj Umrah is getting this. You only speak to Hajj Umrah, ya Yahya? La ya Jama'ah. You can get the full reward as well. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As radiyallahu anhuma came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Rasulullah, ذهب المؤذنون بالأجور. He said, the mu'adhdhins, they've taken all the good reward. All the good reward, they've taken it, Ya Rasulullah. What's left for us? So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, do you want to know how you can attain the exact same reward as the mu'adhdhin? Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, he said, yes, Ya Rasulullah, I would love to know. He said, when the mu'adhdhin is calling the adhan, when you say the same as the mu'adhdhin, you get the exact same reward. Fadlullahi wasi'. Look at the rahmah of Allah. You get the full reward of all those who attended the Fajr reflection, Salat al-Fajr. But there's more. That adhan, Allahu Tabarak wa Ta'ala, I'm not even going to get into the salah, because if we just reflect to the adhan, it will help you establish that sweetness and that khushu' in the salah. And the last few days I've been all over the country, and this is what I've been talking about, and I thought I'll share it with you guys as well. The adhan, the words of the adhan, have you ever reflected on that? The mu'adhin is saying, Allahu Akbar, Allah is the greatest. Allah is greater than all those affairs that you're engaging in right now. Allah is greater than your sleep. Allah is greater than your work. Allah is greater than your studies. Allah is greater than your families. Allah is greater than your business. All these matters that you're engaging in, Allah is greater than that. Come to Allah Ta'ala, because everything you're seeking is in the hands of Allah Ta'ala. Allah will grant you it if you show and you venerate Allah Azza wa Jal in your heart and you turn to Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah will grant you it. Allah will bless you. Allah will protect you. Allah will bestow His favors upon you. Allahu Akbar. Come to Allah immediately. That's what it's saying to you. But the moment you hear Allahu Akbar and you don't come to the Salah and you don't show that Allah is great in these matters, that shows that you are worshipping that which you engage in right now. And then he says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, I bear witness that there's no deity worthy of worship except Allah. Sincerity, you're coming for Allah, worshipping Allah, seeking the reward of Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah, Jalla fi'ula. And this is a condition for your ibadah to be accepted, ikhlas. He's reminding you of that. And then he says, Ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah, I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah, that you're worshipping Allah the way Muhammad alayhi salaam taught you. You're praying the salah the way Muhammad alayhi salaam taught you. Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Pray the way you have seen me pray, he said, internally and externally. You imitate him in your salah. He said to you, then he says, Hayya ala salah. Now listen to this. The rest of the adhan, when he was saying it, you were repeating the same as him, right? But when he said, Hayya ala salah, Hayya ala al-falah, what did you say? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Why? I had the thoughts, why? The rest of the adhan I'm saying the exact same thing. But when he gets to Hayya ala salah, come to the salah, Hayya ala al-falah, come to success, I say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. There's no power and might except with Allah. Why do I say that? It is as if you're saying that without the assistance of Allah and without the power of Allah and without the help of Allah Ta'ala, I will not be able to come to the salah. I will not be able to come to that success. In order for me to come to that salah, to perform that salah properly, to attain that success, I need the help of Allah. I need the assistance of Allah. I need the aid of Allah Ta'ala to get there. Therefore, I seek it from Allah Ta'ala. I'm saying that my feet will not be able to come to the masjid if it wasn't for the might and the power of Allah Ta'ala. It is Allah Ta'ala who favored me. It is Allah Ta'ala who chose me. It is Allah Azza wa Jal who bestowed His favors upon me and allowed me to wake up this morning and come to Salat al-Fajr in the masjid. So I say, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It is not me, Yahya. It is not Muhammad. It is not Ali. It is not Ahmed. It is Allah who chose me. Therefore, all the blessings I attribute it to Allah alone. And I say that it's not my power, it's not my ability. Allah chose me. I'm grateful to Allah Ta'ala. I disassociate myself from my power, my might, my ability, and I clench onto the ability and the might and the power of Allah Jalla fi'ula. That's the mu'min. But then he says to you, again, if he wasn't sufficient at the beginning, Allahu Akbar, he repeats it again. Reminder, if you haven't left what you're doing yet, leave it now. Allah is greater than that. La ilaha illallah, you're doing it for Allah. You're seeking the pleasure of Allah, the reward of Allah. That's what you're going to get. The adhan itself, ayyuha al-kiram, it is perhaps better than any lecture, any lesson, any reminder anyone can give you. Sufficient if we only just paid attention to it. There are secrets in these ibadat that Allah Tabarak legislated prior to the prayer. Shall I stop there or shall I give you more? Do you want more? No, you don't want more. I've spoken for too long. I'll give you one key. This key, if you implement it in your salah, insha'Allah ta'ala, it will make your salah even sweeter. 3 statements. Remember these 3 statements. Speak to Him. Conversate with Him. Ask Him. Speak to Allah. Conversate with Allah. Ask Allah. Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu ardah, he says that the Prophet ﷺ said that one of you, when he enters the prayer, فَإِنَّمَا يُنَاجِي رَبَّهِ, he's conversating with his Lord. Speak to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Some of the Salaf, they would enter the salah and they would go to sujood, and then when they go to sujood, he would say, Ilahi, أَعَبْدُكَ فِي الْجَنَّةِ أَمْ فِي النَّارِ, my Lord, is your slave in Jannah or in the hellfire? And then you ask Allah for Jannah and seek refuge in Allah from the hellfire. Speak to Allah in the salah, because that conversation you have been in the salah is not one-sided. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala responds. فَإِذَا قَالَ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ قَالَ اللَّهُ حَمَدَنِي عَبْدِي. Allah says, my slave has praised me. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. أَثْنَى عَلَيَّ عَبْدِي. Allah responds to you in the salah. Glorify Allah. Show Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala that you engage in that prayer. When is the time that the people, they tend to have the most khushu' in their salah? Which time of the year? Ramadan, huh? Ramadan. Which salah in particular in Ramadan did they have the most khushu'? Salat al-Qiyam or Taraweeh, the night prayer, right? Which part of the night prayer do people tend to become most emotional and they cry and so on? Which part of the Salah of Taraweeh, for instance? Which part of it do people tend to cry and become very emotional? In the dua al-qunut and witr. Why is it people, they become so engaged and they start crying in dua al-qunut when the Imam is calling upon Allah, making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal? It's because they implemented this secret, this key, and they don't even know it. They've implemented it. They become so engaged and connected and they start crying. They pour out their hearts to Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? It's because they know when the Imam is making dua, that the Imam is speaking on their behalf. He's asking Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. He's asking Allah for Jannah. He's asking Allah to protect them from hellfire. He's asking Allah for forgiveness, His mercy, and so on. And they engage and they start crying and they become emotional. Why? Because they know that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is listening to them and Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is responding to them and is going to grant them a response. Therefore, they become emotional. They are connected in that prayer. Do we not know that every single part of the prayer is just like that? If you are like that throughout the whole prayer, you will have that feeling throughout the prayer. That's the key. If you just change your perspective and your mindset in the Salah, your whole Salah will change. Speak to Him, conversate with Him, and ask Him. Jalla fi'ala, we ask Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala to make us know to perfect their prayers. We ask Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala grant us the sweetness of the Salah.